All right, let's talk about the truck series at Kansas this weekend. Probably nothing on the screen, just me talking, kind of going over the salaries. Recorded this yesterday and accidentally deleted the video when I was clearing out my hard drive. So recording this again. When we're looking at the salaries here, last week we did run into the issue that I was most concerned about and I'm not entirely sure if it's related to the heat cycles going on the tires or just Nemechek not having the necessarily short run speed, because we're seeing that Nemechek has the long run speed just by how they're running. This year when they aren't being wrecked or taken out like at Las Vegas, ran into issues at Las Vegas. But Nemechek had the third fastest car at Las Vegas, had the fastest car at Darlington, despite the fact that Nemechek did lose the lead at Darlington. He lost it on the restart when the early caution came out, or he took the lead clearly when the race went green. We had the early restart. Nemechek loses the lead there. That's my main issue with Nemechek and really the first lap leader for the truck series, no matter what the race is on these intermediate tracks, is when they start going and they get in their short run speed and then they have an immediate yellow, is just due to the fact that we're not getting a lot of practice time. And we understand that we're going to have, Nemechek, we're going to have Rhodes, we're going to have the rest of the KBM guys up there on the long run speed. It's hard for me to project what's going to happen if we run into an issue again in this week to where they go green at Kansas and they run for like 9-10 laps and they have another yellow. I don't know if Nemechek can necessarily hold on. I love Nemechek in long run speeds. I love Nemechek in the long runs. I love him especially in stage 3. Just last week, is exactly what I'm concerned about, is if we have an early yellow in that. Despite the fact I still think 11.3's too cheap for Nemechek. I think he's going to be fine. Zane Smith and Ben Rhodes are and need to be considered in races that Nemechek just doesn't have the speed. If he's not showing speed in practice, certainly it would indicate that, hey, you might want to play Zane Smith, you might want to play Ben Rhodes, but they're not a priority for me. The guy who is a secondary priority for me is Chandler Smith. I love these KBM cars. We saw it last year at the intermediate tracks, is that these guys are going to be there each and every week. That's just how it's going to be, man. Nemechek is going to be a top 5 guy. Chandler Smith is going to be a top 5 guy. We're seeing Enfinger struggle this year in terms of at least maintaining a running position that is in the top 5. We're seeing him basically just kind of run right at 6th and 7th this year, which yet again isn't bad for a real life day. But in terms of fantasy, I don't think Enfinger is viable. I like Hocevar. My issue with Hocevar is that he ends up qualifying just in the top 5. I would love Hocevar. Because I don't think Hocevar does not have the speed to get past Nemechek, to get past Chandler Smith, to get past Ben Rhodes, to get past Zane Smith on a long run. He's going to be there fighting. And maybe he gets on pit road or something. But the issue comes from whenever Carson Hocevar starts 7th, starts 8th. We really don't have anywhere else he can move up from. Sure, even if Hocevar moves from 7th to 5th or something, that's still not viable for DFS at $9,700. I'm very much interested if Hocevar ever starts 10th, 11th. But right now, I'm just concerned about that. Eckes 9,400 back in the Thor Motorsports machine. Not viable for me. Not showing speed at Las Vegas. Not showing speed at Darlington. Those are the 2 races we're looking at here. And granted, anything can happen. Sure, we can have wreckfests and stuff like that, but I just don't see it, especially if I'm paying up for Nemechek this weekend. It's really hard to get in a 9K guy, especially if I like Chandler Smith a lot. And I think I'm going to be playing Chandler Smith and Nemechek a lot. It's hard for me to get Eckes in there. So, that's at least my opinion with Eckes. I like Corey Heim. I understand that when we're looking at in terms of experiences, sure, Heim isn't there, but it's KBM truck, $9,200, especially at Kansas, a race where now granted, sure, maybe I'm just building for situations where things aren't wreckfests and things like that. However, I like Eckes. I'm not Eckes. I like Corey Heim here. I like the KBM car. I like him at 9,200, and for a race that I think is going to go green to where the KBM cars will have the speed on the long run, I like Corey Heim, and I especially like playing either Nemechek with Chandler Smith or Nemechek with Corey Heim here. Riley Herbst, $9,000, gonna have a fast car. We're seeing that the Gilliland cars have been fast this entire year, especially the 17 car, or whichever. I believe this is the. I mean, it's the one that Pearce jumps into. Let me just make sure right fast. Yeah, it's 17. 17 truck. My bad. We're seeing that this truck has. It's basically the old 54 of the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs being the All-Star car. We're having guys that have clear experience in this car. We're having guys that are showing up, and I think Riley Herbst is really an identical play to Ryan Preece. And would we play Ryan Preece at $9,000 in this car? I think so. Do we think that Riley Herbst is the best racer? No. Do we think that Riley Herbst is going to compete for the win? No. But I like the experience that Herbst has. I like this truck that DGR is bringing to the table, and I think he shows upside. I think it'd be really easy to get Riley Herbst in lines, and you just need 45 points to pay off here. I think that's very, very doable. And I'd actually rather play Riley Herbst than Stuart Friesen. I think Friesen's going to carry more ownership. Same thing with Ty Majeski and Crafton. I like Herbst here. I don't think the ownership's going to get to him. And I like the upside that I see from Herbst, and specifically what I see from this car. It's not necessarily what Herbst can give me, but it's the consistency that I think Herbst shows with what DGR is bringing to the field. Stuart Friesen, not showing me speed in terms of having a lot of having a lot of confidence here. Like Las Vegas, 7th best car at Las Vegas, 13th best car at Darlington. That's just not showing up. Sure, Friesen was a place differential play at Darlington. That's why, and I forgot if he even worked out or not. But he's not showing the speed at these intermediate tracks. I think Majeski's probably going to be chalk here at $8,600, just based on practice speeds, which will actually be pretty easy to analyze because we actually do have quite a long time between the Truck Series practice and the Truck Series race on Saturday evening. We can look through and see where we're at. I think Majeski's probably the best play here, but I'm tempted to try and get off of him just due to him being the chalk play in this range. Whatever the case is, it's Majeski in the 8K range in my opinion. Everybody else is I'm a bit concerned about, like Crafton. Sure, Crafton is showing very identical speed to Majeski. I would just prefer what Majeski brings compared to Crafton. Tyler Ankrum in the Hattori machine, $8,200. I think Ankram's probably going to qualify 9th or 10th. That leaves very little wiggle room. That's just where we're at here. Matt Benedetto is going to always be a place differential play. He's going to be starting around 17th. Going to project him to finish around 16th. Not anything useful there. Derek Krause just comes into play if he qualifies poorly. Same thing, same deal each week with Tanner Gray. Tanner Gray is probably going to be chalk in the 7K range. It depends on how much place differential he has, and that usually dictates how much ownership Tanner Gray has. I'm always on board of just fading Tanner Gray. I think Tanner Gray is far too volatile, and even in situations to where, I mean, Tanner Gray is pretty much, in my opinion, like a 60-40 bust, or not even be optimal, but like not run into issues. Like he can still have great days to where he doesn't run into issues IRL and still not be viable in DFS, or he just wrecks out and gets into issues. I know Chase Purdy is not as attractive as Tanner Gray, but I implore you to consider Chase Purdy over Tanner Gray this weekend, especially because they're very identical plays. Same thing with Jack Wood. I would actually prefer Jack Wood, Purdy, or Howard over Tanner Gray. Austin Wayne Self, pretty much a top 17, 16 guy. I think that's a pretty easy projection for him. I think the race at Las Vegas shows exactly what the speed he has. He had damage last week at Darlington, went a lap down. Actually, I think he went 2 laps down because he was involved in the wreck in 3 and 4. But Austin Wayne Self is going to have a projected finish of 17th each and every week. Haley Deegan, this poor woman, cannot get a finish better than Daytona, which is a 17th place finish. Just very unfortunate here. Maybe that keeps scaring people off, and maybe it's very contradicting for me to say, well, Tanner Gray is a very volatile play where Deegan has ran into issues in every single race this year. But Haley Deegan is 67. Austin Wayne Self is 6,800. Colby Howard is 6,900. I like these guys. I like these plays. I like the 6K range, and this goes back to why I am very interested in playing a John Nemechek with either Chandler Smith, Corey Heim, Riley Herbst, because I really, really like the low 7K range and the 6K range this weekend. Dean Thompson, oof, man, it's hard for me to get there. I know he finished 15th last weekend, but 19th fastest car, and that's even adding the fact that we did run into issues, and a lot of guys ran into problems last weekend who were faster than him. Dean Thompson's got to be projected for at least a 24th place finish. I don't see it happen. I don't see much happening there. Tate Fogelman, another volatile guy. I mean, when you go about it, the Trek Series is very volatile. They're very bad. These guys are very, very dangerous. And Timmy Hill, yet again, $6,100. I might say a lot of things about these Trek guys, but consistently Timmy Hill is not tearing up the car. By default, projected finish should be for 23rd, and he'll gain points if anybody else wrecks in front of him. That's how I look at Timmy Hill. $6,100, probably going to be playable. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be chalk again this week, but he's not going to kill your lines. Like, if you want a safe play, Timmy Hill is your guy. I just can't do Lawless Allen. I'd much rather do Chris Wright. Yet again, Chris Wright is a guy who has taken advantage of people running into issues this year. Like, when we look at his average running position based on where he's finishing, Chris Wright is basically a Timmy Hill clone, in a sense of Chris Wright is going to run outside the top 25 all day in terms of speed, but due to the fact that people are going to wreck, and we're going to lose at least 3 guys that have top 15 cars. That's going to push Chris Wright to be in a 21st, 20th place car at the end of the day. That's really what the Chris Wright, Jesse Little, and Spencer Boyd plays are. I prefer Jesse Little between these 3 guys, but I would rank it Jesse Little, Chris Wright, and then Spencer Boyd. Matt Mills is back in the Truck Series event this week with the Randy Young play. I really hate to lean off of Las Vegas, because Las Vegas did turn into a wreck fest. But based on speed alone and what Mills brought there, 23rd fastest car at Las Vegas. Ended up finishing 16th because we did have those wrecks late in the race. $5,100 I think is underpriced, or I think is mispriced. I think Tyler Hill is also mispriced. Same thing with Perkins. Perkins was an awesome play last week until he wasn't. Low owned. It's crazy. I can't believe Perkins was not even owned. And if he doesn't get wrecked, we actually end up having a really great day. Let me get through the rest of these guys, and I'll kind of come back and focus on the Tyler Hill, Mills, Boyd, Little, Chris Wright area. I'm not playing pool. Just can't do it. Not going to do it. Jesse Iwuji in the Reum Brothers car, which basically an identical play as AO. I think AO has more skill, and he still ran issues last week, and Jesse Iwuji is going to be an absolute roll in chicane. I would not be shocked if he causes a wreck. I'm not playing Josh Reum and Trey. I'm going to hit the wall, and NASCAR don't give a fuck about me if I'm stopped on the track. Hutchins, $4,500 in what I presume is the car that he was able to purchase after the truck was destroyed last year. Not playable. So when we're looking at the 5K range, when we're looking at the 6K range, that's why I went back and really want to, I hate saying team stacks and stuff, but Kansas is screaming to me being a KBM type of racetrack, a KBM type of race, and specifically a Chandler Smith, Joe Nemechek line. Leave your $7,100 to get whoever else you want. When we're looking at the Matt Mills, Boyd, Little, Chris Wright play, because I do think you got to at least get one of these guys in your line, especially if you are aiming to try and get more of the 9K guys in there. I think Matt Mills offers the and clearly this is all based on practice and qualifying data points to add on to this. But I like Matt Mills as the highest ceiling Like, he doesn't necessarily need the race to go green to do well. He's going to perform well. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need the race to turn to a wreckfest to do well. I think Matt Mills is going to probably have the fastest and best run between Little, Boyd, and Chris Wright. So I would like Mills there. The Tyler Hill play is, I'm concerned that they're entering the second car just to, let Tyler run again. But I'm concerned Tyler Hill doesn't necessarily carry the speed. He's going to be a better play than Poole, Iwuji, Reum, Hutchins. And by default, that's going to give Tyler Hill at least a 30th place finish. But does he get anything more than that? I don't necessarily think so. I would prefer to stay above $5,000 for the truck race this weekend. Spencer Boyd is probably going to be the one who does the best in a wreckfest. I think Jesse Little is right in between Matt Mills and Boyd in terms of upside. I think my priority is actually going to be in Mills, and then probably Timmy Hill at this point, or doing Matt Mills and Jesse Little if I need the salary savings there. That's where I want to go. I would like to specifically get up to the high 6K and low 7K range. I think this is where the tournament and the contest are going to be won this weekend. I specifically love Austin Wayne Self and Kobe Howard here. I don't mind Haley Deegan, depending on where she starts. Chase Purdy, Jack Wood, always carry risk, but I think they've burned enough people to where we don't necessarily have to worry about a ton of ownership on those guys. And in terms of people who I want to try and fit in the 8 and 9K range, that'll be based on practice data there. That's how I want to approach the Truck Series race at Kansas. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting Pearce and I on Patreon and this year. And if you're not, maybe consider joining the Patreon or send me some money on PayPal. Also, real quick, nobody told me my PayPal link wasn't working on Twitter. I had changed one thing when I added here to F1 on Twitter right when the F1 series started, and I was like, yeah, I need to make sure these links work, and the PayPal link did not work for the last month and a half. So thank you for all the notifications that was not working, guys, because I barely just figured that out last week. So the PayPal link is back up and working correctly on my Twitter. Outside, I thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I will see you guys in the live show tomorrow for the Truck Series race.